Let's get it on!
Sprawl and brawl, ground and pound. Get ready for an MMA showdown. Now, the ultimate Octagon insiders, Sean and Tristan Ducross.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the ducrossbros Sports Warriors. I'm Tristan Ducross. Along my side, as always, is my partner in crime, the one and only Sean Ducross. Sean, what an incredible show that we have from top to bottom today, right? We have let's clear up some things, right? We have some breaking news where we got Manny Pacquiao. He's retired, essentially. He's done. He's moving on to greener pastures. So we're going to talk about that briefly. We also got the Jon Jones, and yes, you're going to hear our take on this subject as well, since it's been a headline that's been turning a lot of pages. So you're going to get a unique take from us on this subject. But first up, on tap, is the Manny Pacquiao situation. If you go back to one of our last shows that we did, right? I said that Manny Pacquiao, if he lost, he would contemplate retirement. Here he is right now announcing that he is retired from boxing. Now, one thing that you'll never take for granted from this guy is the fact that this guy is pound for pound one of the best boxers in the world, one of the greatest of all time, and you can attach that acronym to him, the GOAT. That will never be taken away from him. What he has done for boxing, for the Philippines, hands down is remarkable. For him to possibly be running for president for the Philippines, he has a lot more on his plate now than he did before, and at the age of, 43? I think now's the time, and it's perfect time to walk away. It's the perfect time to walk away, I'll give you that. Especially with the fact that he has such big aspirations for the Philippines and everything else like that, that when you've boxed as long as he has and has the career that he has had, and with the CTE manifesting itself through combat sports and the end result always not being bright, you want to still be as lucid as you can. So for him to go ahead and say, you know what, now is the time for me to step away, finally, he realized now's the time to step away. And I give him props for it, for finally admitting, like, hey, I need to bail out. The only thing that I take away from his luxurious career is the fact that I just wish he would have fought Floyd Mayweather a little bit more in his prime than when it was kind of up in the air. That's the only thing. The guy you couldn't ask for a better boxer, a better human being in this sport. A better role model for the sport of boxing. This is a guy that has, 9 different divisions throughout his career. Started boxing at 115 pounds. Ended his career at 155. I mean, who could say they have that attached to their name?
Right.
he has set the example for boxing. So I tip my hat.
When you talk about role models and you talk about icons, you talk about living legends, you can't help but actually throw Manny Pacquiao into that conversation. We have talked about for a decade about athletes having to have being able to be called role models or being able to be called people to look up to in this sport, because there's not a lot of them. There isn't a lot of them. But Manny Pacquiao is a legit human being and a legit badass in this sport as a person, as an individual. I don't think I've ever heard anybody knock him in any way, shape, or form inside the community. I just have not. And when you talk about role models and looking up to people, we're just going to keep it short and sweet on Manny Pacquiao because he deserves it. You gave him a clap and applause earlier. But you talk about role models and icons, and that's where we get into the whole Jon Jones disaster. We talk about people doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And Jon Jones continues to act like an immature adult. And that's the best way to put that out there to the masses, is that you take a grown man and you put him in Las Vegas and a grown man acts like a child. You take a grown man where he's got to make best decisions, and sometimes enticement will always outweigh the thought of what good may be coming from it. The fact that you have a fiance, the fact that you got 3 kids, you still put yourself in a predicament that makes you look like a fool.
100%.
Like it goes back to what we talked about a couple weeks ago with Conor McGregor versus Machine Gun Kelly. And we talk about what he did and where his wife was in that situation. And the fact that he's got 2 kids. It's a little bit different because at least Conor McGregor doesn't slap his own wife or pull his own wife's hair, or at least not that you hear. But at the same time, bro, it's like you're set to be married. You've been together with this woman for like number amount of years. 3 kids. And yet we're having this discussion.
Look.
That you laid hands on a female.
We read the police report, okay? The police report, from what we read and what we obtained from MMA Fighting and Damian Martin, is absolutely disgusting, if that's the right word. And I say that because to get hostile, to get to the point where his fiance, Sean, asked for a key to the room and proceeded to talk to a security guard, and some kind of vibe that she gave to the security guard made the security guard ask what question? Do you remember?
I don't.
Asked her if she was scared. She nodded. Her son is the one that said, "Could you call the cops?" Security guard said, "You stay right here with me. I'm taking you to a private room."
But you know what's interesting about that?
When your son says, "Call the cops."
But the problem that I have with that is that the fiance isn't even going to push any charges.
Nope.
So while you make that comment about that you were uncomfortable or whatever it was you just said, or the fact that the son said, "You know what, I'm going to go make a call."
No, tell the security guard to make the call.
But yet, when the cops arrive and you give your statement and you have a little bit of blood on your clothes, you have a little bit of blood coming from your mouth and a blood coming from your nose, and they ask you, "Well, was it physical?" And you say, "Well, kinda?"
Or I don't know, I just have chapped lips.
Like,
okay, so I have a theory about that. I have a theory about that part. Because she was kind of like in and around the subject, right? Kind of dancing in and out of it, right? Here's a man that's 6'4" that weighs 255 pounds right now, right? 6'4", 250. We're no longer talking about the Jon Jones that weighs at 205. Professional fighter, correct?
Correct.
Could he have easily either A, knocked her out or choked her out?
Yeah.
If you think about it, because if you black out, right?
Yeah.
You don't remember most of what happened. You come to and you're like, oh, wait, what is this? Her recollection is that she remembered her hair getting pulled from behind. So did he pull her hair from behind and put her in a hold? Or because that's basically from what we read, that's the end of what she kind of.
Tristan, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, there's absolutely that speculation that could be had, because there's so many different things that you could speculate.
We've also,
and I want to loosely say that because this is just speculation,
yes, 100%.
hearsay, whatever you want to say.
Because we're also going factual based by what we read on the police report, with adding little bits and pieces to kind of put the puzzle together, because there's still, when you're reading the verbiage of the police report, there's just some stuff that's, I want to say, almost kind of missing.
Yeah, and it leaves you open for the speculation.
Yes.
And I'll give you that. But the thing, too, is there's two sides to this, okay? The one side is the female side. And the female side, to me, is vastly interesting because, okay, when you listen to women talk and you listen to the ones that are the abused, this sounds like a woman that has been abused on multiple different fronts, whether it be physically or mentally. And
that I agree.
Sometimes some women that are in verbal abuse relationships, physical abuse relationships, you see it all over. That if
they don't leave the relationship.
Right. If that's the only thing they know, they stay with what they're comfortable with, no matter what, because they're fearful for the end result. I don't think that this is the first, the last, the second, the third, or the fourth, or the fifth time that you've seen. Hold on. So while we have this issue with his fiance, okay, I believe this is not the first time, the second time, the third time.
Absolutely not.
So the second
first
side
one
of this,
that's caught.
The second side to this is this. And I've been thinking about this since I read it. And it brings two parallels. And this may touch people the wrong way. This may be go like, wow, you're really going that deep. It's the situation that we're in. Okay? The craziness, the loose cannon side of Jon Jones, the willingness to put his hands on a woman, the willingness to show up intoxicated, aggressive,
under the influence of something,
substances of something. We know he has a history of cocaine. Maybe he was on that. Who knows? Speculation. Okay? What we do know is that he has been arrested 2015. We know he's been arrested in 2019. Now we know he's been arrested in 2021. All those scenarios turn the individual to crazy. Okay? So when you look at crazy and you look at the weird randomness and like spottiness of it, two people come to mind. For the weird randomness and the spottiness of the hit and run or the disorderly conduct in a restaurant with a waitress, to where we're at now with a hotel confrontation, if you will. Mayhem Miller. Not Michael, but Mayhem Miller.
yes.
Then the other one, the fact that he put hands on a woman, whether it be pulling hair, maybe choked her out unconscious a little bit and realized, I messed up.
I have two people that come to my mind based off of where you're going with this.
Well, let's see if you end up there. So then if we ended up here where he's out of control and now he's physically hitting his own fiance with his kids in the house. War Machine.
Yeah. Yep. I was getting there.
War Machine.
Spending life behind prison bars for almost killing his girlfriend, Christy Mack. It took to that point for Christy Mack to almost lose her life, for War Machine to go to prison and spend life in prison.
So
when is it enough for a woman to step aside and say, you know what, I can't take this anymore?
Right. And then you talk
This
about...
is always, if this is a pattern of aggression, this is never going away.
Right.
This is an ongoing issue. This is a theme, a pattern, right? He is a alcoholic, probably an assumption here.
A substance abuser,
A substance abuser.
See, at least...
His words is that he says he's going to abandon alcohol altogether. Man, that's like crying wolf, bro. That's crying wolf at this point. Because you said you vowed to work harder after the third suspension. You failed. You failed after the first suspension. You failed after the second suspension. You failed after the third suspension. Here you are. Here you are.
Okay, and then here's the thing that people are gonna ask this question, okay? People are gonna ask this. What's the difference between him and Conor McGregor? Because Conor McGregor threw a dolly through a bus to hit Khabib Nurmagomedov. Hold on. Punched an elderly man in a bar. Got in almost an altercation with the Machine Gun Kelly. Alleged sexual assault. But see, none of this has really been proven outside of the dolly and the plea deal that he reached in that. There was really, I don't think there was any charges really brought to him against anything else. Were they disgusting acts? Sure.
Yeah.
But he hasn't hit his wife. He hasn't done anything like that gets to mainstream media.
As far as we know about domestic violence, hasn't
Right.
come out with Conor.
Right. But we know that Jon Jones has a brain cell that's about this big. And here's the thing, too. Okay, so we talk about CTE. We talk about the outcome of the brain and the punishment and which one can get. Okay.
Do you believe
That
this
he
could
has
be
CTE.
a byproduct of CTE?
That's what I don't want to
Because of the
defend
mood swings and how
the drugs.
in the inconsistencies.
Well, let me put this into perspective for people out there, okay? Go watch the film about CTE called Concussion with Will Smith.
Yeah.
To really understand CTE. Go ahead. Google, what's his name? Nowinski?
Yes. Chris
The former
Nowinski.
wrestler, Chris Nowinski from Harvard. Google him about CTE.
Google the Pittsburgh Steeler that drove on the wrong way on the street on a freeway to kill himself and had CTE.
Or better yet, a guy who we've had the pleasure to interview a long time ago, Kyle Turley. Kyle Turley slept in his room with the lights off.
Yep.
Because he couldn't watch TV or anything with noise because it just was going so crazy until he found weed. And now he has his own CBD company. There's legitimate crazy stories
That we know.
of CTE.
Yeah.
So, not to say he
Some
has
close
it,
to us.
Not to say that we're trying to justify what Jon Jones is doing. We're trying to give an alternate perspective
Because
so we don't completely rip the guy for his actions.
Because it's easy. It's easy. You could get on a mic like this, rock it like a vandal, act like one, And again, we're in a spot where we shouldn't tear somebody down, but to bring them back up. And if Jon Jones is putting his head almost through a police cop car,
And that's what triggers me to think about CTE.
there's something else wrong. A alcoholic, a guy that is high as a kite, whatever. You don't put your head through a cop car.
Well, he didn't put his head through
No,
the car.
but he
just
tried.
dented it.
Yes.
But yeah.
If you get to that extreme, and even the police report says that his aggressiveness there were levels to it. What
Right.
does levels to it mean? Because that, again, I'd never heard a cop say there's levels to an aggression.
See, and then
So then it leads me to believe, again, there's something else going on. And I said it when this report came out, that Jon Jones needs help. He doesn't need anybody to be there to hold his hand, to be his party boy, to go out there and have a good time. In this life, in this world, Sean, you are a byproduct of who you associate yourselves with. Correct?
yeah.
Regardless of if you yourself do not view yourself as part of that clique or part of that crowd, if you are associated with them by product, you become part of them.
And that's what we talked about the last time when he had this incident, was at some point when you're a big celebrity,
You have to make
you can't have people that's in your inner circle
to
that-
control you.
No. That's completely wrong.
No.
You want somebody in your inner circle that's not afraid to tell you no.
Correct. But in his inner circle, they're controlling him, essentially. Because if they say, hey, we're going to come out, where you're going to come out and party with us. You're going to do X, Y, and Z.
Bro, I
You
don't think there's anybody that's doing that in there. I think that's the nature of Jon Jones. It's even said in the chat. He, for his behavior, 24 years old was called out. So that to me tells me that he's always been that type of guy.
So what is he? What is he? 34 now?
He's going to go out there
So-
and party, and his guys are going to go with him.
Okay, so hold on.
And his guys are not
Do
going
you
to
have
tell
a
him.
pin?
No.
All right,
Why
so I'm
would I
going
have
to,
a pin?
because I'm going to try to do some math here, okay?
There's no point in doing
Look. You're telling me this behavior has been possibly going on since 24, right?
it. Yeah.
So,
If he's 34, that's 10 years that he's been acting like a
Act-
baboon.
correct. And Sean, he's been with his girl or his fiance for something like 19 years.
Yeah.
See how long?
Yeah.
That's why I think that this
And
is
see
why
the
she
way-
said,
and see where the
Yep.
issue lies is that when you're a celebrity of this stature and you are a person of this mentality, that at some point you have to have somebody in your inner circle.
You gotta
that
pull
is
the reins
not
back.
Afraid to tell you no.
you got to pull the reins back.
But
Unless everybody in his corner
are we
is
gonna-
all hands off and it's like, dude, I'm good. I
Right.
don't want
Are they
anything
all
to be
afraid
with
of
this.
Jon Jones?
If that's the case, then again, Sean, oh man, we are in a seriously a big trouble for Jon Jones. Because if people are starting to leave his circle and starting to want nothing to do with him, because if there are people telling him, hey, you can't do this, you need to keep your head on straight. And
if there was people in his inner circle that were willing to tell him no,
right,
we wouldn't be in this situation.
100%.
Because I heard an interview today that Dana White did after the Contender Series, I think, that was talking about this. And he said that, yeah, I told him 10 years ago he needed to get help.
24.
10 years ago.
That puts him at 24.
10 years ago. He told him to get help. 10 years later, we're still talking about Jon Jones not getting help. We're talking about Jon Jones having a criminal record. We're talking about Jon Jones having multiple arrests. We're talking about Jon Jones having a cocaine addiction.
What do you think happens to him now? Does he ever fight for the UFC again? Yes or no?
Yes. The same reason why Jimmy Smith said. Jimmy Smith said it best. He's going to draw you money. That's how up we are right now in the combat world. It doesn't matter. You even see it with Conor McGregor, Tristan.
Bro, it's not
you
even
can go out there and make a fool of the company. But it doesn't matter because it's the UFC.
Look, the
If it
NFL
was
has
the
always
NFL,
said if you disrespect the shield
Shield?
on our jersey, you don't play.
But combat sports and boxing is vastly different.
See, and I don't get that.
Independent contractors versus employees.
That I
On that
understand.
note, we'll be right back after the break.
And we go into pro wrestling talk, AEW Dynamite. Then we head off to UFC Bellator talk. More with the Ducross Brothers Sports Warriors coming up right after this. The Ducross Brothers Sports Warriors, Sean and Tristan Ducross, cross that line every Wednesday right here on twitch.tv /the Ducross Bros. Fresh take on all that is combat sports, from professional wrestling to Muay Thai to MMA, you name it. We got you covered on all aspects, giving you different thought process when it comes to combat sports talk. All right, everybody, we are back. Tristan Ducross, Sean Ducross. Go ahead, give our sponsors right here, right above my hand, some love. IloveAnti.com. Use promo code TheDucrossBros and save yourself 10% on all your CBD needs. I use the tinctures. My brother uses CBD rub. You got to get some of that stuff if you have some aches and pains or deal with anxiety. Get them. Try it. Love it. 10% off if you go to IloveAnti.com. ESPN Plus, get a break on the subscription. Go to our Facebook fan page, and you can get a break on your ESPN subscription. In the meantime, AEW Dynamite all of a sudden seems to be hitting another gear, and we're going to get it to full gear coming up. See what I did there?
That was so corny. I get it. You're trying to match my amazing segues. I
What?
get it.
No.
I get it.
No.
You want to be me, but that's
No.
my job, like your job to go to the break.
Bro, you are like me. We look the same.
A little bit.
Look at it. The only way they can tell us apart right now is because I'm wearing glasses. That's the only way they can tell us apart right now.
Well, the fact that you also
Tristan,
don't have a
shut-
mustache, but I have like a full beard.
Oh, yeah, that too. I should go Amish, though.
You did that once, and that was the weirdest thing ever. Let's not go that route. Just like you trying to talk the barber into giving you a mullet. No, we're not going back to 1980.
Everything comes around at some point. A trend comes
Yeah, we're
around.
not doing that.
Hey, pro wrestling take it back off again.
That is true.
It was dormant for a while. Only WWE now. You got MLW Alpha taking off on Vice. You got Impact Wrestling doing what they do. AEW, WWE, NWA. There's wrestling for every type of person.
Speaking about MLW, I haven't really watched MLW. But one thing that is standing out to me is why the hell is the open weight champ Hammerstone, I think, acting like he's Hulk Hogan? Hopefully you have an answer for that for me, because I'm so confused. Every time I go on social media and I see this guy now, he's wearing the red and yellow. He's doing the Hulk Hogan pose. Like, dude, what in the shiitake mushrooms is going on here?
I don't know what his entire shtick is or his gimmick is, because last time I saw him, he was even acting like Hogan. He was still Hammerstone, so don't necessarily get the whole Hogan Hammerstone tie-in, especially in MLW. But then again, name one company right now that doesn't have a ripoff of a professional wrestler from back in the day. Especially look at what do we got going on in AEW.
See, you liked AEW tonight.
I did.
I was middle.
You're a middle of the road?
I was middle of the road because it started off hot with the fact, like I told you, that I was interested to see Adam Cole come out by himself when he was the member of the Elite.
And he explained why he did.
Right. And then I was confused about the melee that ensued or how we got to the match next week at Rampage.
Well, we already had the match that was going into Rampage with the big, huge, like 6-man tag or 8-man tag or whatever it's called. But we already knew that was coming, so that's why they all came down.
So that was a good start. And then we had the filler.
Yeah.
We had Cody Rhodes, Lee Johnson.
The best part of that
Was our
Shawty Lee
promo.
Shawty Lee for grabbing the tights of Rhodes and pulling him back to the corner and tagging himself in. Like, bro, I don't care who you are. You're not going to disrespect me on the ring, and I'm going to pull you by your tights from one side of the thing all the way back to our corner. I'm going to take myself in.
Because you just keep losing.
I give the props for that.
But
And then
but so that
the
was
Arn Anderson promo that is trending worldwide on Twitter. If you don't know, go to Twitter. Just do the hashtag Arn Anderson. He is everywhere. Arn Anderson. The minute I heard that promo, I ran to Pop, told Pop that, hey, Arn Anderson cut a promo.
because bro,
He was like, what?
That promo.
Arn Anderson cut a promo that I have never heard in my life since he was the Four Horsemen.
Like, I'm sitting here and I'm like thinking, like, I want to put that video up on TikTok, but I'm pretty sure that video on TikTok is going to go against guidelines because he put his head to Cody Rhodes' head.
Let me say it. Sean's going to be Cody Rhodes. I'm going to be Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson, looking right at Cody Rhodes, says this. You pull up to a red light. You stop at the red light. Guy comes over to the door, opens up the door. You hand him everything. Take it. Me? Guy comes up to the door. I reach in my waistband. I pull out my Glock. This might even be going against the guidelines too right now.
Right.
But I pull out my Glock. We might get kicked off of Twitch for this. I'm going to splatter his brains all over the concrete. That's the difference between you and I.
So next week,
I'm Arn Anderson.
So next week, if we're not on Twitch, guys, we'll be back on YouTube.
Please don't kick us off Twitch. We love you. Just, you got to bear with us. That was the promo. I'm not making this up. I'm not violating any violence guidelines. I'm just saying that's what Arn Anderson said. And the way he said it is the way he sold it.
But like
that's a guy that, I'm sorry, note to self, I'm not carjacking Arn Anderson.
Well, the thing too, like I told you, was Arn Anderson's nickname was the Enforcer for a reason.
Oh, and promo lived up to it.
You did it with Arn Anderson. So for me to hear that promo was like, welcome back, Arn Anderson. But what is it? I don't know what the end game is. I couldn't figure that end game out. But that last part saved that moment. Saved that filler. But the writing was on the wall. I told you at the beginning of the day, like, bro, like,
when
Sammy
Arn Anderson
Guevara
goes
was
on
going to
busted
win.
open. Oh, yeah, that too.
I told you at the beginning of the day, like, Sammy Guevara was going to walk out TNT champion. And you looked at me and said, no, he's not.
I didn't like the fact that he posted on his Instagram at like 2:00 this afternoon that here is your Spanish God, basically, essentially, new TNT champion either. I did not like that. So I did not like that the writing, as you would say, was on the wall for Sammy Guevara to get this title for two reasons. The month that we are in, as well as the fact that he already posted it on Instagram, let it leak.
Yeah, and the month that we were in is what is it? Hispanic Heritage Month. And I looked right at you, was like, dude, you couldn't be more obvious. You weren't going to have Miro hold on to this title this month when you just elevated Sammy Guevara into this opportunity.
Let Sammy run its course now. Right. Let Sammy now run the course. They drop the title next month. Drop it next month.
But and see, so you look at that, Tristan. So you have all these moving parts on this one, okay? So you have Darby Allin versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who came out
with his Batman voice
and cut a foot. That was funny.
Yes, it was. Hey, use
But
your
the
big boy
interesting-
voice.
But the interesting thing was when MJF left and said, "I'm not going to break you with mind games. I'm not going to break you with mind games.
I'm not going to break you mentally.
mentally," and he just leaves. That was a little confusing because the night before that on AEW Dark or Elevation, one of the two, he cut a promo against AEW speaking about all the guys that they're bringing in from the WWE.
Yes. It was on AEW Dark.
And then he cuts this promo
About bringing in Bruce Pritchard.
from MLW.
And CM Punk's rebuttal was, who
Not-
doesn't have Bruce Pritchard's
on
phone
it.
number?
Right. So that was a little puzzling. So I don't know if that starts up a new feud between Darby Allin and MJF. I don't know where that one goes. The other one that I'm confused about is Dan Lambert's promo.
God, that guy needs to shut up. I did not like him in Impact TNA. I don't like him now.
But you have
He's
this,
a good heel in wrestling, but
you
dude, shut
have
up.
Scorpio Sky and then Evan Page, the men of the year, who came out looking like a tag team last week.
Ethan Page, that was news to me that he's a second-degree black belt.
No. He really is. He really has a karate background. He really has a mixed artist. And same thing with Scorpio Sky. He's a real wrestler. So they're just pulling
So
that.
then the truth with them actually training that American Top Team is probably real.
It could be.
Because from the reports and the people that I've seen is that they're always at American Top Team.
Yeah, so it very well could be. But the way that they were portrayed tonight is top guys. And top guys, I meaning like they're going after the world title.
Not yet.
But if you come out last week looking like a tag team, why not go after the
Tag
team titles? You guys are heels. Dan Lambert made you guys heels. Why not? They could be the new, what was the tag team? With Ethan Page and the Walking Weapon?
Oh, they were the Canadian team that was in
Impact.
Yeah.
But they have that chance to find that success.
Yes.
Because it's clear that Josh Alexander is not going to AEW anytime soon. So if Ethan Page is not going to be the next level guy going,
Your next world champ, Alexander.
yeah, that's a given.
Going to go over Christian Cage.
But so you put that into perspective about where did those guys go? Then you got the promo from the top guys, FTR. Talk about the refocus, revitalized, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's another heel team. That's another heel tag team. But where's the positioning for these guys? I don't see any positioning forming right now. I see the starts of something, but I can't figure out the end game yet of where we're going to
And I
get
can kind of
full gear.
Yeah, I can kind of see that in what you're talking about because we're now throwing a lot of story possibilities, but we're saying we're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and we're throwing you and we're juggling a whole bunch of stuff, but nothing is strung out yet.
And you know what's interesting is let's see how many AEW fans figured this one out. So AEW Rampage is hurting for ratings.
Yes.
On Friday nights. Not doing great at all.
Even with
I
Grand
think-
Slam, they struggled.
I think their rating right now since CM Punk is an average of like 650,000. So pay attention. Pay close attention. Bryan Danielson kind of threw it out there in his promo. Oh, we'll do this Friday on Rampage. CM Punk hasn't wrestled on any Dynamite since last week. So the last 2 Dynamites that they had, the Grand Slam Dynamite,
Yes.
and tonight, he hasn't wrestled. They're waiting to put him on Rampage. So they're taking Bryan Danielson and CM Punk and basically moving them over to Rampage to draw the fans over to Rampage. Because everybody knows they're going to tune in on TNT to watch whatever's going on AEW Dynamite.
See, and this is where I think they're kind of lost with what you're saying, right? How about this for Rampage? Okay? Wouldn't this be unique in itself? So you have Evolution and Dark, right?
Yeah.
And Evolution and Dark is basically build your character. So you build your character, you get some ring time, you get in there, you do what you need to do. You prove yourself on AEW Dark and Evolution, and you ultimately get to call up to the big show. That's essentially what they do with AEW Dark as well as Evolution. What if you took those guys that instead of throwing them up into the big show in the AEW Dynamite, that you grow them from those 2 YouTube shows to Rampage, then over to AEW. So now they're getting, not only are they learning at the bottom, they get their TV
But you're
time.
still not going to draw fans.
No, but at what point, if you're only drawing 650,000 people, even with the Grand Slam, Sean, that card was stacked and amazing, right?
Right.
They drew 690. So if you're looking at that threshold alone, why wouldn't you take your homegrown talent that you're building, the young kids down at the bottom,
But see, that makes
and
sense
groom
for
them?
us.
Right. But I'm just saying that you could groom them up through Rampage, still get that, and still get your ratings, because trust me, people know who some of these indie kids are on the bottom. You're building these stars to give them mic time. Like you and I said, Jungle Boy struggles on the mic, right?
Right.
Struggles with charisma. So if you want to work on that a little bit and fine tune it, put them on Rampage. Let the guys that are good on the mic, the Kenny Omegas, the Bryan Danielson, the CM Punks, all the guys that are good on the mic that can draw, put them there. The guys that need a little bit work, a little bit more foundation, a little bit more pep in their step, put them on Rampage. You're still going to get the viewers.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong. You're not entirely wrong, because I mean, what you could do is think about it is that you're talking about a chain and a spin.
Yes.
You're talking maybe about a little bit of a pendulum, okay? And take your step one step further. So take those kids on AEW, a Dark, Elevation, Rampage, because that's how it goes.
Yes.
So you swing it, okay? So you take the storylines that you're trying to build with the guys that you want to build from AEW Dark to Elevation to Rampage, and then when it needs to a conclusion and you feel like they're in a good spot, you swing it to Dynamite.
Yep. I like that. That's exactly what I'm saying. Instead of trying
I should
to
be a booker.
Instead of trying to
I should
say
be a
that
booker.
we need ratings, instead of saying, well, we really got nobody else to draw, so we're going to start pivoting and taking some of our bigger names and put them over on Rampage to kind of almost even the playing field. I would not worry about evening the playing field.
I'm such a good booker.
Worry about your number one and play it exactly how Rampage is meant to be a number 2. It's not the same as AEW Dynamite. And nor should it play off.
And it's not like WWE where you've got SmackDown and Raw.
People complain that they don't want AEW to be like WCW. But it really is, in a nutshell, like WCW. Nitro, Thunder.
and Thunder.
A lot of guys started on Thunder, made their way to it. It's not like WWE where you have basically WWE's brand of Raw and SmackDown, and they're both the exact same company. They're both the exact same show with the exact same caliber. AEW doesn't have the 2 caliber shows that have all the star power.
So you got to work what's in your wheelhouse.
Yes.
Potential's there.
Grow it. All I got to say is grow it. It'll be perfectly fine for AEW Dynamite.
So
Except
go
the
ahead.
690,000.
If you haven't seen AEW Dynamite, tune in tonight. Let us know what you think. But right now, we're going to go to a break, and we'll come back. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. We are the DeCross Brothers. We are live here every Wednesday night around like 7:30 here on Twitch. We are a live combat sports podcast. We talk about wrestling. We talk about mixed martial arts, boxing, whatever is hot in the combat wrestling world. Your boys are going to talk about it. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Whatever you guys want to do. Give us a share. But yeah, every Wednesday right here.
The Ducross Brothers, Sean and Tristan Ducross, cross that line with us every Wednesday. I Love Anti, shout out to our sponsor. Go to iloveanti.com. If you're into CBD stuff, you got to get their stuff. They even just dropped the new gummies. You can use promo code The Ducross Bros and save 10% off of all your orders. In the meantime, UFC Bellator coming up this weekend. Huge events. Kind of.
See, I was thinking the same thing. Like, sweet, Bellator's on this weekend. UFC's on this weekend. Guess what? We're going to get great cards. And then I looked at Bellator and it's like, ew.
2 fights there, 2 fights there. Everything else is...
Well, I more or less give Bellator 1 fight. And it's a rematch. Douglas Lima versus Michael Venom Page 2. I was just like, cool, London?
Jessica Borga's on that fight.
Yeah. As the co-main event, but yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
Versus Leah McCourt. She could get into the top if she beats Leah McCourt.
That doesn't say much about that women's division that just lost their former world champion in Julia Budd to the PFL. I'm just saying.
One of the longest win streaks in the history of Bellator in the women's division just went deuces.
But now
she's going to get Caitlin Young in PFL.
But now Harrison has a potential run mate finally that may be able to stand up. Who knows? It'll be interesting. But then you look at UFC Fight Night, Santos versus Walker. Now, hey, that's a little bit better.
And no, I'm not talking about the alcohol, Johnny Walker.
No, we're talking about Johnny Walker.
Although we should make a rusty nail.
Maybe. Because I think we still have some.
In the honor of Johnny Walker.
Yeah, Saturday night. Saturday night, we pull out the rusty nail and we're drinking Johnny Walker for Johnny Walker. Because Santos hasn't been the same Santos since he had all those knee injuries, the ACL, the PCL, the MCL, the ACL.
You tear every ligament in both your knees, bro. You will never be the same again.
It's going to be interesting to see if he can finally rebound and get back on the winning narrow, the straight and narrow, and actually winning. Considering
wishful thought.
I know, but I still believe that
he has so much potential.
His timing, like when he took on Jon Jones, I still believe he won that fight. He would have won that fight if he did not get injured.
If he didn't tear everything in both knees.
Yes, he was winning that fight. But
since that day, Sean,
he got messed up.
Every fight. If you come out and you are gun shy or you can't move like you used to, you are putting yourself in a bad spot. The losses to Glover, the losses to Raddick.
So fight fans, Tristan, if you had to tape and to watch one main event, which one are you watching?
MVP and Lima.
Cool, that's where I was going to go.
And I say that only because last time MVP was made a meme. So I want to see if he gets number 2.
The Hadouken uppercut.
Yes. I'm going to kick your leg out and catch you. Yes. The most awkward knockout that you will ever see in the history of mankind. Lima to MVP.
But what was awkward this past weekend was watching Anthony Joshua lose to Usyk. Oh, my God. So now we're back to square one in boxing in the heavyweight division of where do we go? What do we have next? Because
where do we go from here?
Because we were originally supposed to have Joshua versus Fury if Fury gets past Wilder.
Joshua and Fury off the table. Ain't happening.
We're never going to see it again.
No.
But this is the reason why
100%.
you make that fight and now run from that fight.
You make Usyk versus Joshua 2 to see if we can get back to Fury Joshua.
Because even if Joshua beats Usyk, okay, in the rematch that's supposed to happen between February and March of next year, if we get that fight, even if Joshua manages to win, we don't see Fury versus Joshua. We don't see Wilder versus Joshua. We don't even have that discussion still. Because then essentially we go back and circle back to a fight 3. But if Usyk wins the rematch, he's now in the discussion to fight the winner of Wilder and Fury 3. Because Usyk, and everybody had Usyk written off. Like he was some underdog.
Except for you and I. And what did you and I say about Usyk?
Technical. He's a boxer.
He's a big guy that can move in the ring. He loves his angles, and he's a boxer. So the thing about Joshua is that he was dubbed this greater than thou, right? The next Muhammad Ali.
That he lost weight, that he managed to figure out how to box against Ruiz. He had the next big thing.
But he gets knocked out by Ruiz.
Yeah,
comes back again and beats him. But let's be real. He did not beat Ruiz, but Ruiz beat himself because he was partying that night.
And he wasn't in shape, even though he's typically not in shape. But he was not in shape for that fight.
But the thing that I have with Anthony Joshua is that here's a guy that has all the tools, right? What would we call the best player in Major League Baseball, right? If he's an outfielder, what was that acronym? What do you call a baseball player that has everything?
5-tool player.
Anthony Joshua is supposed to be that 5-tool player in boxing. The issue I have with him is not about his skill set. Don't get me wrong. His skill set is there.
He's got a better skill set still than what Deontay Wilder has.
100%. But the issue that I have with Joshua is what gets most fighters in trouble. From MMA to boxing to Muay Thai, you name it, doesn't matter. In combat sports world, there's one thing, one constant in this sport that we are in that will conflict a fighter to no end. This. Your mind controls everything. When there is a creep of doubt that goes into your body,
you're done.
Or you second guess yourself at any point, you are done. Period. And there is a time, multiple times, that Anthony Joshua, after a loss, comes back. He did it against Ruiz after the knockout. In the second one, he was tentative, kind of gun shy, kind of pulling back a little bit. This one was no different.
So
he was hesitant.
So you're thinking that in the second match, we're going to see what he did against Ruiz. He's going to adjust. He's going to adapt to the stylistic matchup that is presented in front of him.
He will have to. Because if he doesn't, and that doubt continues to creep into his head, because after every single loss he has battled, he has come back a shell of himself. That's doubt in his head. That's, am I really this good? Am I really good enough to be here? Can I hold this title?
But
are there people better than me?
You've said it before, okay? In a lot of things, okay? So you're talking about Joshua. Let's be done with Joshua. let's go talk about Usyk. You've used this phrase before, and I'll use this phrase now in this moment. Put some goddamn respect on Usyk's name.
Let's go.
When Usyk was the first ever undisputed cruiserweight champion in boxing, now Usyk is not the undisputed yet.
He's damn well close.
But
he owns,
is
4 titles now?
The unified world heavyweight champion.
The WBA, the IBF, and the WBO, right?
Something like that. And I think the WBO, one of them is with fucking Fury.
Damn, Sean.
Sorry.
Relax.
But
I know you don't like Fury, but geez.
But he now has the chance that whoever wins between Fury and Wilder, the outcome of that is going to be that Usyk has the chance to be the first ever undisputed cruiserweight champion.
Undeniable.
The first ever undisputed world heavyweight champion. That's something that even the best heavyweights couldn't do. The Mike Tyson.
The Klitschko's.
The Klitschko's.
Lennox Lewis.
The list goes on.
He
but
can
you've
put
got
his
to
name.
put some respect on Usyk's name now.
He can make history.
That's a fight that versus Tyson Fury may be more intriguing than freaking Fury and Joshua. But now is the time, like you said, put some damn respect on this guy's name. He should not have been as a big underdog as he was against Anthony Joshua.
Nope.
Yes, he was smaller than Joshua, but he was still the more technically sound boxer with more pedigree to his name and to his resume than Anthony Joshua.
And again, I look at the body of work, the caliber of fights, the understanding of the fight game. Usyk was the man that scared me against Anthony Joshua. This is why.
It's just like Deontay Wilder does not scare me against Fury in this match of 3. No. It really doesn't.
Nope. Unless Wilder during the pandemic has been 100% in that gym, working on the sweet science of boxing, understanding angles, then okay. Tyson Fury is just too much of a man for him. That's the way it is. You could get lucky. Don't get me wrong. He's gotten lucky before.
Right.
So that luck could be on his side.
And the thing, you don't call Deontay Wilder the bronze bomber for a reason. He's got that right hand that can knock your head off into orbit.
Facts.
So
the scary thing about Fury,
everybody has a puncher's chance.
The scary thing about Fury is one thing. Like him or not, he finds ways to win. That's the difference between most boxers. If you're good and you're great and you're above that level, you find a way to win.
Your nickname is called the Gypsy King. You're a free spirit. You're always loosey-goosey. You just don't freak out. That's what makes Tyson Fury so unique and different than anybody else. Because to me, he embraces being a gypsy.
He has no care in the world. He is who he is. He is himself. That is scary when, again, like I said, there's no doubt in your mind. You make a conscious decision and an understanding, and you can move forward. When all faculties are moving in one direction, and you can actually do what you need to do and execute a game plan, that makes him a scary man inside that squared circle.
You know, everybody's still going to be excited to see that bout much more than people were probably excited to see Usyk and Joshua.
Did you hear that the buy rates of that were horrible?
Does that surprise you?
I'm telling you,
Joshua doesn't draw.
No. Outside of London, USA, I'm sorry.
Doesn't care.
Nope.
Doesn't care. But when you got Fury and Wilder,
Look out.
it's going to be fun times coming up.
Yep. Dude, we're out of here.
Yeah, buddy.
So throw up the upside down too sweet sign. There we go.
Oh.
What?
Why did you have to do that? Because that just reminded me. Did you hear the latest thing about the Bullet Club?
That during the impact?
No.
What?
No. Talk to you next week about that.
We're the Ducross Brothers. Until next week, we'll be back. Same bat channel, same bat time. Tristan Ducross, Sean Ducross, the Ducross Brothers, cross that line. Hit us up on all the socials right down here.
Next week, got a little tidbit for you about the Bullet Club.
Thank you for tuning in to us, everybody. Catch you on the flip side.
Let's get it on! Sprawl and brawl, ground and pound. Get ready for an MMA showdown. Now, the ultimate Octagon Insider, Sean and Tristan Ducross.